Ah yes, big cities have big amenities, but at some point, you might say to yourself, I either need therapy or a trip out of here. This place is driving me crazy. At the same time, you're not ready to strap on a backpack and disappear into deep woods. If only we could find somewhere peaceful, but with a little more convenience. Lucky for you, southern Indiana has exactly what you're looking for. Charming towns to explore from a time gone by that offer just the right balance. To be clear, there are tons of nice towns to choose from, but there's only so much time. Today we'll focus on towns with under 7,000 people with remnants of classic architecture. Quiet escapes where you can kick back, grab a bite to eat, and shake off what was getting to you in the first place. These are my favorites. Let's go on a road trip to find a hidden oasis in small towns across southern Indiana. When anyone talks about coming to southern Indiana with the intent of disappearing, I tell them to start at Corydon. Near Highway 64, there are plenty of hotels, over 20 restaurants, Starbucks, a Walmart, pharmacy, and gas stations, virtually all the comforts of home. But downtown, it's a quiet place, because all the busy things are near the highway. There was no place to fit a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel. Established in 1808, it was the second Indiana Territory capital and the first Indiana state capital. And with a population of only 3,153, it definitely has a small town vibe. With a mix of 1800s era architecture and new businesses, it makes for a nice walk. There's a variety of places to window shop. There's a public space on Chestnut. And a small park a few blocks east. A great place to stretch your legs. There are quaint restaurants, such as the 1816 Modern Kitchen, named after the date Indiana became a state. Corydon itself was named after a fictional character, a shepherd boy named Corydon, in a song called Pastoral Elegy. It's not a happy song. The shepherd boy dies. But Indiana Territory Governor and future President William Henry Harrison thought it was a great name for a town. In fact, he had an office here on Capitol Avenue. But it's just one of many historic places. The Capitol tour will take you to the governor's headquarters. In the old Capitol building. History is all around Indiana's first capital. You'll see the Constitution Elm, First State Office Building, the Kittner Inn, and the Old Spring at the fairgrounds. And a Carnegie Library. Multi-millionaire Andrew Carnegie built 164 libraries in Indiana. He believed that education and access to knowledge was the key to escaping poverty, just like he had. It's now a history research center. And across from the old Capitol, a history museum. It's a good primer for what Harrison County has to offer. And then there's the fascinating Zimmerman Art Glass Factory. Where you can see art created in front of you. And just south of town is the Battle of Corydon Historic Site. During the entire Civil War, this is the only place in Indiana that ever saw action. But for me, Corydon is the courthouse square. I've lost count of how many times I've been here, but the piece never gets old. It's seldom busy, outside of parades and festivals. There's places to sit and collect your thoughts. On the corner is a statue of Franklin Baden. He grew up in Corydon, ran the local newspaper, and became our state's governor. He absolutely loved Indiana and the town of Corydon. Each time I leave, I think about all the memories I have of Corydon, the times I came here with family, friends, and on my own. I've seen it in all seasons. And yet, I keep coming back to this magical place. To me, Salem is a true oasis. It's not near Highway 64 or 65. Not a lot of traffic, but has all the charm and convenience that a traveler needs. With a population of just 6,319, it feels very homing and inviting. And as a bit of trivia, it was named after Salem, North Carolina, hometown of a founder. Established in 1814, it's kept much of its 1800s era character, with old buildings repurposed and kept relevant. The Washington County Courthouse was completed in 1886. It's got a novel, old-world look to it, called Richardsonian Romanesque. Beside it is a veterans memorial going back to the Civil War. And during the Civil War itself, it was plundered by Confederate soldiers. Many of the buildings you see today are from that time period. Inside the drugstore, you'll find one of the last soda fountain counters in Indiana. It's very nostalgic of how small towns used to be. You'll also find a Mexican restaurant, which is a great stop on a long journey. And a short distance away, a donut shop. Not only outstanding apple fritters, but a model train. Just insert a quarter and watch the excitement. The town also has a Carnegie Library. Incredibly well maintained, it deserves a peek inside. It looks like a mansion. They don't make them like this anymore. The town also has a history museum. There's a train depot museum with not only railroad artifacts, but a huge model train. It's entirely modeled after the town of Salem. You'll see a pioneer village. And a flea market inside an old gymnasium. Complete with the original floor. Feel free to browse, but make sure you have room in the trunk. Salem has many surprises. If you drive 12 minutes southwest of town, you'll find the historic Beck's Mill. It's one of the last 4 grist mills in southern Indiana. Salem has everything I love about a small town, and many reasons to keep coming back. Whenever I drive to Bedford, I go through Orleans. It's a good place to top off the gas tank, hit the restroom, and get snacks for the road. But as they say, there's more. Established in 1815, it has a population of 2,142, making Orleans one of the smaller incorporated towns in Indiana. But for me, that's a solid plus. As a part of Orange County, it doesn't have a courthouse. That's at Paoli. In its place is a park in the center of town, with 1800s era storefronts. And as a bit of trivia, it was named after the Battle of New Orleans, fought during the War of 1812. There's a mural of former President Andrew Jackson sitting defiantly on his horse. The town is a mix of new businesses and classic architecture. Mexican restaurant, they've got you. A social space between buildings. Something new coming soon. And things that have been here for a while. Over its 200-year-plus history, I can only imagine what businesses used to be here. On the west side of the street is a park and gazebo, where you'd typically think of a courthouse. During the year, there are many events on the square, including the Dogwood Festival in April. This quiet space gets packed. But outside of those times, you can always find a seat. There's a little memorial that catches the eye. The bell is from the former Orleans Academy that was built in 1864. History is certainly all around you. There's also a prominent Veterans Memorial honoring those that served. It is small-town America at its finest. On the north side of the square is Speakeasy Pizza. It's quickly becoming a main draw for travelers and residents alike. Right next door is the Once Upon a Bean coffee shop. And next to it, the 1815 barbershop. And rubbing elbows is the Freestyle Salon and Boutique. And like many small towns in Indiana, a Carnegie Library. They were so well built that most are still around to this day, well over 100 years later. Nothing like a good book next to the fireplace. Above the mantel is a picture of Andrew Carnegie. Built in 1915, thousands of people have benefited from one man's gift. The place has a sense of permanence, a time capsule, a close relative to immortality. Just like the town of Orleans, built with intention to last forever. On the south side of Paoli is an iron bridge, completed in 1850. It's a dramatic entry into town, like you're traveling back in time. And as crazy as it sounds, whenever I visit the square, I always think of the Dukes of Hazzard. For some reason, it reminds me of the TV show. If you didn't know better, you might think it was Georgia, and you're approaching a stately southern courthouse. And with a population of only 3,677, it definitely has that small town vibe. Paoli was established in 1816 and was named after Pasquale Paoli Ashe, the son of North Carolina Governor Samuel Ashe. It's also the birthplace of Margaret Hamilton. She and her team wrote all the code for the Apollo space missions, not to mention Skylab, America's first space station. This is Margaret, standing next to a printed copy of the code that was used for the Apollo mission. In 2016, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And if you call yourself a software engineer, you can thank Margaret. She invented the word. The Orange County Courthouse was built in 1847, like something you'd see in the Deep South. It is a beauty. Still in use today, it's only behind the Ohio County Courthouse as the longest continuously used courthouse in Indiana. Notable structures include the Mineral Springs Hotel. Guests would come from all over to bathe in and drink rejuvenating mineral water. And the reason it made them feel better, it had a high concentration of lithium, an active ingredient of antidepressants. On the corner is an old bank that's now a lawyer's office. And just off the square is a classic gas station. My eyes are always drawn to the mansion on the hill. It only reinforces the town's resemblance to the Deep South. You'll see a Carnegie Library, and what used to be a garage for car repairs now holds a gift shop, beauty salon, and a place to file your taxes. On the northwest corner are a variety of historic buildings. One houses the Orange County Museum. There are various places to browse and window shop, as well as a Mexican restaurant. Just west of town is the Maria Radcliffe Rest Park. At the kiosk, you can learn about Lithia Spring that made the town famous with its lithium water. During the week, you pretty much have the park to yourself. It's a quiet place to bring some lunch and sit beside Lick Creek. When my mother was still alive, we'd stop here for a moment, just to stretch our legs as we made our way west. I remember her admiring this crooked old tree, one that's at least 100 years old, probably a lot more. It seems like just yesterday, but that was over 25 years ago. I was always so rushed, but today I have more than enough time to appreciate a moment that I didn't before. Paoli is simply picture perfect. Even if you don't live in southern Indiana, you might have heard of West Baden Springs. Established in the 1850s, it became a resort town where the famous and infamous would bathe in mineral springs and drink the water. And when I say resort town, I mean a place where the population is only 574 people. During the summer and Christmas seasons, there are more tourists than residents. It was named after the spa towns of Wiesbaden or Baden-Baden in Germany. There's no courthouse or public square, but there is a huge garden where you can walk the grounds. And miles of paved walking trails with park benches. Don't miss out on what was once the largest dome in the world. It's a huge luxury hotel, but anyone can peek inside. There's also a small park to eat your lunch. And a visitor center. But that's not the end of the story, for within walking distance is the town of French Lick. Established in 1857, the population is only 1,722. It was once a French fur trading post next to a salt lick, hence the name French Lick. You're welcome. When most people think about French Lick, they think about the fancy resort. Which also has a casino. While that is the biggest game in town, that's not why I go there. It's home to Chicago's Pizza, my favorite pizza place in Indiana, hands down. Deep dish pizza, breadsticks, and nacho cheese. This is where all diets end. Outside of the summer and Christmas tourist seasons, it's a pretty low-key, quiet place. You'll find a variety of restaurants and places to window shop. And many other relics of the past. If you want entertainment, you're in luck. They have a water park. Miniature golf. Indoor go-karts. And even an arcade. Tack onto that a movie theater. And in season, a train ride that takes you through the second largest train tunnel in Indiana. There's a local history museum. You'll learn about the mineral springs, resorts, gambling, and we'll see the largest circus diorama in the entire world. Just a lot of small town goodness in one place. A few years ago, I was taking pictures of the monastery at Ferdinand when a little nun stopped to chat. We got to talking about photography, and she told me, "You gotta visit Huntingburg, my hometown. They've really done a lot over there." Well, who am I to question a nun? Established in 1837, the population of Huntingburg is 6,362, and full of small town goodness. Huntingburg is thought to be named as it was a hunting ground for early settlers. No one really knows. You'll see many historic buildings. And a revitalized downtown, just like the nun told me. Lots of dress shops, home decor places, and a few restaurants. But the biggest thing I noticed is that the town is one big stereo. Music is heard everywhere through unseen speakers. There's a place to park the car and eat lunch in the shade. You'll find tables, chairs, and swings. And a park in the middle of town with an amphitheater. Just a decent, quiet place to hang out. When I first heard of Boonville, I thought it had something to do with Daniel Boone. It was instead named after Jesse Boone, that spelled his last name with one less E. But more famously, it's where Abraham Lincoln would hang out in his youth just to watch court cases. He'd walk all the way from Pigeon Creek, watch the excitement at the courthouse, and borrow law books. With a population of 6,246, it has many small town graces. starting with the Warwick County Courthouse, completed in 1904. It is a behemoth and the centerpiece of the town. On its grounds is a Veterans Memorial. And surrounding it, many buildings over 100 years old. There's a social space to sit as long as you want to. And if you're up to it, one of the larger history museums in southern Indiana. It has many levels and many curiosities. And if you have time to read, many fascinating stories. From Civil War history, the finer graces, professions of the past, this is a pretty extensive museum and completely free. One of the classrooms was kept intact from when it was a school. And you can see a cool bug collection, as well as a section dedicated to the arts and entertainment. And veterans of the county. The old auditorium is my favorite feature. Never incredibly busy, Boonville is a great place to disappear. Southern Indiana has really spoiled me. There are so many secluded towns and park benches, swings, and no time limits. There are lots and lots of places to disappear. Whenever I'm near Mount Vernon, I hit the gigantic swings that sit along the Ohio River. And when I'm near New Harmony, I'm absolutely going to stop. I drop by the roofless church. I walk around the lake. Maybe even sit in the big kid chair. Or find a place to sit in one of their small parks. If you're looking for some peace in an unbusy place where no one knows your name, you're likely to find it in southern Indiana. Maybe it's time for a road trip.